Last week, I think it was, or last week, we had Vicky Cervantes from La Voce De La Bajo, Voice from Below, and they're a group here in Chicago who've been active in working to bring about changes in the way things go down in Honduras as well as in other communities. And she promised me that if someone came from Honduras and was knowledgeable about the situation, she would bring him to the show. And we are honored not only to have Vicky Cervantes returning to the Heartland here, but we also have Gerardo Torres. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Vicky, give me a little background on Voce De La Bajo and your work around Honduras, and then we're going to get some information direct from, as they say in the old days, from the horse's mouth.
Okay. La Voz de los de Abajo was formed in 1998 after Hurricane Mitch by a group of people who we were already involved in solidarity work with the campesino and indigenous communities in Mexico and other places, and we started going to Honduras to see what was going on after the hurricane and made contact with the campesino organization, the National Center for Rural Workers, and a couple of the indigenous groups, COPIN and Ofrane, the Afro-Honduran group. And we started doing solidarity work with those communities, including community radio projects. We've worked with the other Chicago group, Radios Populares, to help start community...
Another guest on this show.
Right. To start up community radio projects. We've worked with Pastors for Peace to take equipment, supplies, farming implements down to Honduras. And in the course of all this, of course, we've made deep ties with the social movements in Honduras. All of those groups, like Gerardo's group, Los Necios, who are working for social justice in Honduras.
Well, let's get some information from Gerardo Torres, who is here on a tour. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing up here and, more importantly, what is going on in Honduras these days?
Well, first of all, Michael, it's for us a big opportunity to be here, and we thank you a lot to give us this space. We came from Honduras the last week to make a tour in which we had visits to senators and representatives, but also to communities, and Honduran communities, Latin communities, and all the people that the city we have been. Well, we have been in Washington, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, and now here in Chicago. And it has been very rough days for us, but this is a big chance for us to tell what's really happening in Honduras. I am part of the coordination of the national resistance against the coup d'etat in our country, and also part of the coordination of a social movement that's called Bloque Popular, in which we have been working since 2002 for many things, workers' rights, campesinos getting more opportunities to produce, also feminist organizations and many other social organizations are together in the Bloque Popular. And also, I am part of a political organization that's called Los Necios, which is translated like the stubborn, that exists. Well, this year we get to our 10th year of existence, and we were made from the university, but now many of us have already out of the university, and we are still working close to the social movement.
Maybe you could fill me in and our listeners both. I mean, my understanding is that President Zelaya, who was, he's from a major party. He was a landowner. He was not known as a progressive person. But with the growth of and the importance of Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, I'm sure there was some kind of negotiations and deals made around gasoline and oil, and all of a sudden Zelaya seemed to become much more critical of the U.S. and take more progressive positions. His reforms were not revolutionary or radical, but he made small incremental reforms, and suddenly it doesn't seem like he was trying to get another term in office, which is not allowed by the Honduran Constitution, but was to just have a referendum to see if people were open to a change in that. And that became the issue around which the more conservative forces, the mainstream forces, ousted him from power. They snatched him up in the night. They took him out of the country. I think where'd they dump him? In Nicaragua?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Yeah.
The neutral place. And, everybody around the globe took a principled stand against this. Even the United States, which I'm sure has in some ways implicated in this, because we still run the School of the Americas, where we train Latin American military officers in the not-so-noble ways of dealing with oppression. And Zelaya tried to go back. He was stopped from coming back at the airport. He's crossed the border a couple of times. I read this morning that it may not look like he's coming back, because in November is the elections again. Can you fill us in on, the U.S. role in Honduras in general? We have a lot of military bases there. We have, it was a place that the Contras used against the Nicaraguan government. We have a situation. You tell us what's going on in Honduras today. I mean, I read the information about people are blocking the roads and there's a general strike, and it all sounds good. But so far, the president has not returned to office.
Yeah, Zelaya, when he arose like the president of Honduras, we were against him because he is from the Liberal Party, that as the National Party in Honduras are the two forces that have controlled the country for the last 100 years and take us to the poverty and the social crisis that we live today. Zelaya was elected by the 12% of the people that could vote, and
12% of the people can vote. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And he won because the National Party's candidate, Porfirio Lobo, that's now running again for president, only got the 9%. So in that election in Honduras, less than 25% of the people that could vote went to practice our bad called democracy. And that was a clear sign that people had stopped believing in the major parties, but they didn't have another option, so they just didn't go to vote. And there was another sign that people were tired of what was happening in Honduras. And Zelaya, the first thing he started doing was to strengthen the public office. And for example, the first thing Zelaya did wasn't Venezuela, and wasn't oil or gasoline. The first thing he did was that after 3 months that he was president, he was about just to sign the privatization of the portuary, the ports, los puertos.
Ports,
yeah.
the ports.
And the private enterprise had to tell him that if he sold it to them, they would give him 9 cents of a lempira for every lempira that what took place in any commercial transaction in there. And the union that works in the port asked a meeting for him, like they have asked for meetings with other presidents. And strangely, Zelaya gave them this meeting that they hadn't received before. And in the meeting, they told him that why was he doing that? Because it was currently the state of Honduras was receiving 22 cents for every lempira. So it was a big lie that the private sector was telling the president to get these benefits. And he noticed that happened in all the state. So he started with those actions. That was his first confrontation with the right wing, the more conservative sectors in the country. And this took place to many other things, like the raise of the minimum salary, like new politics.
All right.
Yeah, he put it, the minimum salary was $190 a month, and he put it to $270 a month. And, well, it's not very much maybe here in the United States, but in Honduras it was one of the biggest things that people could hear of.